Echuca, who's trained by Gus Philpott. John Keating taking the ride. Does have a tricky wide barrier to overcome though, Kev.
Yeah, look, that is a potential factor, but the horse drew outside at Kyneton first up, was able to get up on speed. I'm expecting something similar here, and really to come out and do what he did there shows clear improvement in that 6-month break that he had from the first run to the latest run. And the way Gus's other horse is going, she's beneficial. You'd want to back this one up, I think, to rely on him to run well again. I can't get him out of my top 4. He's 4th pick.
Now, Single Intent, this is the one that has had some support from a massive price earlier on. There was $21 available in parts earlier on this morning. Now it's $6.50. Second up here for John Salinitri and Daniel Stackhouse.
Yeah, it looks ominous, doesn't it? Totally different gate today. First up, Bairnsdale, 1,000 metres, gate 10, covered ground, and only a steady finish. Well, today from barrier 3 it will be, or barrier 2 in fact, after scratchings. The horse could get into a totally different spot, and into a spot that he certainly was second up last preparation. I think going to the 1170 is a positive thing for him as well, and you can see well, several reasons really why the horse has had some support in from longer odds.
Number 5 is Spades a Spade. Craig Robertson replaces James Winks, trained by Byron Cosmanis, coming off 4th placing at Kilmore on the 19th of December.
Here's another one that gets a change of barrier from gate 8 first up to an inside draw today. Below expectations first up. The horse was spelled after being below expectations. Beaten favourite, ran last as favourite going back to the middle of the year. And look, it ran 4th, beat 7 home. It wasn't far from disgraced. I think he can hold up here. I'm very intrigued to see where he might posse up. He could even box seat from the inside.
Number 6 is one for the old-time NBA followers. And when I say NBA, we're only going back a couple of decades or so. Drexler, not sure if he's named after Clyde the Glide, former Portland Trailblazers and Houston Rockets player. But he's trained by Darren Weir, so he's in the right hands, and Talia Hope takes the ride.
The horse went to Colac for his first and only run so far, a fortnight ago. And look, he copped the check around about 500 from home. That pulled his momentum to bits. And in the end, he was certainly not hitting the line. He sort of run-ended towards the last furlong or so. He's been beaten 5 lengths there, but there were aspects of the run you'd have to forgive, so he is open to clear improvement.
Number 7 is Estrella Fella. This is our favourite from the Lindsay Park team. Big team of owners here for the Wiley Dalziel, Roy Higgins Racing Syndicate, and Jake Duffy's chasing a winning double.
Well, he is, and I think he can get it on this fella here. He's been very good first up, and if he's able to build on that, if he's able to get up and over for the right sort of run in this race, I think he's the one to beat. He gets an extra 170 metres. He was resuming at 1,000, so this is as far as he's been in his short career.
What can you tell us about the local? Gone to Mollymook. A first starter, hasn't been to the races yet. Lee Smith is taking the ride. It also has got a wide gate.
Yeah, look, looks up against it on what we've seen in a couple of trials, going back to Benalla in November and to Chura 2.5 weeks ago. Finished toward the back of those trials and beaten a fair way in both as well.
Scrub the 9. 10 is Weld, who is by a sire that we just had a look at. Sebring doing his thing on the racetrack, and Jane Ivel did a good job identifying what a star he has been at stud, and he's produced Weld, who makes its debut for Mick Price with Jake Noonan aboard.
Oh, look, I think he's got a good winning chance here, Weld. His jump outs recently have been very, very solid. He's cost them $52,500, this Sebring colt. He's fronted up in 3 December jump outs, and he's been forward in one of them, off speed in the others, but he shows a willingness to go between gaps and run past runners, and if you can glean such a thing from jump outs, which is arguable, he looks to have a bit of a competitive nature about him. Big chestnut he is. I think he'll run well here on debut.
Number 10, 11 on the podium, won't be doing that today. 12 Be Wanted is here though. Corey Parrish takes the ride. This is another one from the Lindsay Park team. A first starter, a 3-year-old daughter of Wanted.
Yeah, look, she fronted up to the Tatura trials back on the 11th of this month, so a few weeks ago. She was always back there. She ended up running 4th, I think, in that trial. but it was leader dominated. The first two got out and got away, and none of the others got near them. She's had a jump out since we've seen that Flemington had a jump out just before Christmas, and she was chasing quite gamely in that jump out. Looked all right there, so you would have to give her some respect here at first go.
13's out. 14 is Boy Called Rose. John Thomas trains here on the track. Brooke Sweeney is taking the ride, one of the roughies.
Yeah, the horse had two not terrible runs going back toward the middle of the year. I know, beaten a long way in one of them. That was on a heavy 10, though. I thought the debut had some merit, finishing midfield after settling with only a couple behind him. He's an older horse. He's a 5-year-old now. He's only had the 2 starts and the 1 race prep. Look, I wouldn't fall over from surprise if this 100-to-1 shot was able to finish top 4.
15 is also out, so the 2 emergencies down the bottom both get starts. And we're going to kick things off with another local. This is New Kintaro. Harry Coffey goes aboard.
Now unplaced from 6 and first up today. And the horse was fresh off a 4-month spell coming back in August, and that was not a great run and has been spelled again. So, look, it's hard to get too enthused on what he's shown so far.
And Persian Faith. Not too many are trained at Gunbow, but this one is by John Pearson. Chelsea Hall takes the ride.
Yeah, look, he hasn't shown enough to get overly excited about his chances here. I would... Look, he's the actual only she is the only horse in the race that's not either first up or second up, but I don't think that sort of benefit of race fitness is going to be too much of an advantage for her. 7-10-6-3, the tips for me. I thought Australia Fella was nicely placed here. I'm really respectful of the newcomer Weld. I think the jump outs have been very, very good indeed. Drexler next and Simchar as 4th pick there. 7-10-6-3.
That's our Kev Casey suggesting we play race number 3 on the card, Estrella Falla. So he's tipping that it will be 3 from 3 here for the favourite backers. 320 there in the fixed prices as we see in the officials. Let's see where Estrella Falla fits in with Bet365. And you're getting fractionally better than that. $3.40 in the Bet365 market is Estrella Falla. So continues to just drift out ever so slightly. A little bit of 290 was what we were dealing with about half an hour ago. But now 340, well, holding its price at $4.20. And then Single Intent, most of the business looks like it had been done around Signal Intent before we got to the 30 minutes leading up to jump time. So ignore the fact that it's been $6.50 out to $7 because it was $12 there at 9 o'clock. It was even bigger than that at some other places this morning. So they honed into Single Intent nice and early at that big price, and it's still $7. It's been solid enough, along with Be Wanted, who's also been $6.50 out to $7 late in the piece. Spade's a spade. There's been a slight drift to $8.50 there. Our single figure runners here for race number 3 on the card. Has this been an easy one to form a speed map around, Kev? Because you did make note of the fact that a lot of these are either first up or second up, but at least we've seen them at the races before, so we know what we're dealing with. In most cases, Weld being probably the obvious exception of those towards the head of the page. Yeah, that's right. And I think Weld looks to have a little bit of versatility in where he may settle. He's got a draw to be sort of just camped right on pace. I think I would be expecting him to be in the sort of front 5 runners in this race. Simchar's got this wide draw, but looks to have the speed to get up and over. Even this roughy Persian Faith, as the rank outsider, has shown some toe on occasion. And, of course, that leaves us with Estrella Falla, who's got a little bit of a wider draw as well. I think it'll be crossing somewhere in the front 4 or 5 as well. I think it'll be breathing down their necks. But I think Simchar, even drawn out there, it'll be crossing up. If it's not the roughy Persian Faith, I'm looking at Simchar as the leader of this race. All right, 1,170 metres is the trip. That's up from the 1,000 metres that Estrella Fella contested last time out. The previous start was over 1,100 here at Echuca. What's your take on Estrella Fella? 3-year-old son of Star Spangled Banner is whether you think he's a 1,000-metre horse, a 1,200-metre horse, or horse that's capable of winning at either of those trips?
Yeah, look, I think certainly at this stage, on what we've seen, as you say, all we saw was the 1,100-metre run here, going back to last preparation about Estrella Fella, and that was a no excuses run. It wasn't a fantastic run, so the two best runs for him so far have been at 1,000 metres, but really a stretch out to 1170. It shouldn't phase too many gallopers, and I'm at this point putting my faith in him to get the right run to run it out pretty strongly.
All right, well, we're closing in on 2 minutes out from jump time, and there's not a whole lot between Estrella Fella and Weld on the exchange, so there might be a little bit of activity to play out here in the final 2 minutes of official betting. Only 10 cents separates them now, so we might see a little bit of a tighten up there around those towards the head of the market. But at this stage, it's Estrella Fella, our $3.60 favourite, and $4 is the price about Weld, as we head up to Rick McIntosh to see if he can add some insight ahead of race number 3.
Well, hopefully the camera did justice to Estrella Fella number 7, Brad. I reckon being in that white with the royal blue spots, that's the Wiley Dalziel Roy Higgins Racing Syndicate. He was probably picked out by Peter Moody, which is a plus. Actually got Peter's book from the AGRA as a Christmas present the other day, so thanks to all those people. Looking forward to that. But that aside, he's a really nice type, Estrella Fella. He's a nice looking 3-year-old. As I said, he was probably picked out by Peter Moody. He's in the ownership and does pick a lot of the yearlings out for Wiley Dalziel Racing. And he's a nice sort of horse. He's only just clinging on to favouritism, I've got to say. Weld has been extremely well tried. He's in the red Bluebud Thoroughbred colours, Jake Noonan for Mick Price, and the two of them have singled out in their betting. There's been some nibbles at some stages for Spades a Spade and Single Intent, but the two favourites are pretty much clear of everything else. Our third here, the One Print Maiden, sprinting 1,170 on this New Year's Eve race day for race number 3. Mr. McAdam coming over. Boy Called Rose in the Bluey Thomas colours to come up. And so to another local, New Kintaro, to go into the middle. And the line looked good. They're off. Persian Faith out wide got a good start. So did Simchar in those Huntington disease colours. Going towards the lead. Estrella Fella, though, is right there underneath him and he'll keep it at bay. Persian Faith 3 deep to third. Then followed by Spades a Spade, getting into a good spot. Followed by Single Intent, and Gone to Molly Mooker's in that group as well. Now running 6th. A length and a half to Be Wanted on the inside of Weld. New Kintaro, Drexler, and about 4 lengths away to Boy Called Rose, who's last of all. Persian Faith wouldn't take no for an answer. Just keeps on pressing the leaders. Estrella Fella's on the inside at the 600 though, and I think he has its measure, but Simchar going okay, joins the leader as well again. Persian Faith look gone now. Single Intent's presenting to third. Weld also putting in a run. Then Spades a Spade, followed next by Gone to Molly Mook. They round the turn here. Estrella Fella's been copping a stack of pressure. On the outside, Simchar. Single Intent presenting now, and down the outside is Weld. So too Be Wanted from a long way back. Estrella Fella's been fighting for a while. He's all out. Weld on the outside goes to him from Simchar, fighting back. Weld hit the front and a nice debut. Weld raced away. Beat Simchar by a length, a half length away. Third, Single Intent. Estrella Fella ran 4th, maybe. Getting on okay was the stablemate Be Wanted. Drexler's finished on their heels, followed by Spades a Spade. Then Gone to Mollymook. Next in the race was Boy Called Rose, then New Kintaro, and Persian Faith went fast, but it was only for about 600 metres, and then weakened to run last. Number 10, Weld, had the last crack at them, but has been too good. This 3-year-old chestnut colt by Sebring from Sparks Are Flying. He's raced by Bluebud Thoroughbreds in their colour, stack of others in the ownership. Mick Price at Caulfield. Jake Noonan, number 10. He's come here ready to win. He's had to be nice and fit because he's done it off a fast pace. 11.70 first up. They were revving a few sections there. Estrella Fella, he was trying to hold it up, but they were attacking him. And Weld's been the one with the fresh legs down the middle to go on and win it nicely. Simchar, a good effort because it was also in the speed duel, up forward on well in those Huntington's disease colours, and Single Intent number 4 gets third. 7 Estrella Fella fourth. 10, 3, 4, 7 go in the frame. 12 fifth, 5, 6, 10, 3, 4 and 7. Time of 109.28. Now that is a reasonable run here for 1170. 109.28. 10, 3, 4 and 7. Well, Jake Noonan, Mick Price is first. Simchard, John Keating for Gus Philpott is second, and Single Intent, Daniel Stackhouse, John Salinitri is third. 109.28. 10 Weld. He closed in close to favourite at the end. He was probably the best tried. He won by a length with a half length between second and third. Won by a half. He's paid $3.30 and $1.40 on Super Tab Weld. Simchar $2.90. Single Intent $2.50. Quinella returns you $18 even, exacta $31.60. Trifecta $156.70. The first four for 10, 3, 4 and 7 pays $560.70. And the race to race double 3 into 10, $12.20. Rory Hunter is representing Mick Price, and he's with Brad now to talk about that impressive debut from Weld.
Is he a horse that you've always had an opinion of, Rory?
Yeah, I think we have. We've just taken our time with him. You know, just one that Mick's really put a lot of time into him, and yeah.
What did you make of the way he went about his business today? Because he was a little bit tardy by the looks of things at the start.
Yeah, I think he was quite impressive. Like, he was green, did a lot of things wrong, was out wide coming to the turn, and yeah.
I reckon the team's going to have some fun with him. Enjoy the trip home.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Rory Hunter there, and here is Jake Noonan. What did you make of the way he began, Jake? Because there would have been some punters out there that might have been a little bit concerned.
Yeah, he didn't begin that well, and that was Mick's probably only query going into it. You know, he's trialled with the blinkers on, but only once, and he's a colt, so there's no doubt his mind can probably get distracted and be on other things. But I still found a lovely spot, and what looked a pretty average maiden on paper. I thought if I get the right runs, he should be competitive, which he was.
Were you happy with the way the gaps opened and the way he travelled through those gaps?
Yeah, he did. He kept responding every time I asked him to quicken up, and just when he hit the front, he just wanted to float about and just didn't know how to quite go on with it, and just wanted to roll about and roll in. But he did enough on raw ability. It's a good effort for a horse coming up against horses that have had starts and he hasn't. So merit to the horse, and hopefully he can go on with it now.
What's the one aspect of his attitude and his main attributes that think's going to carry him a long way?
He can win. That's the start.
He's already done that today, and so have you. Well done.
Cheers.
Here we go, Jake Noonan. He's the rider of Weld, who got the money in race number 3 on the card. He ended up jumping the favourite, very well back late in the piece. So that's 3 from 3 here for favourites at Echuca. Our second meeting in Victoria is about to kick off. They're down at Warrnambool. Jane Zaffris and also Ben Ascari heading up the coverage there, and I'm going to hand over to the guys now.